What's up, everybody? Welcome to Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. Maria Estrada will be with us shortly, so I need to be athletic here. I need to make sure I mute my mic whenever she's talking so we don't get feedback, but I have to have my volume up because that's how the Live Me folks are going to hear her talk. While we're waiting for her, allegedly, Cory Booker has stopped taking corporate PAC money. Apparently, Cory Booker is the latest to say he's going to stop taking corporate PAC money. It's very interesting. I want to say this about that. It's very interesting that all of the 2020 presidential hopefuls on the Democratic side are emulating the guy we were told had no chance of winning. Kind of interesting, huh? It's almost like maybe they know something we don't. I don't know. Almost like maybe Joe asked, will Kamala Harris be next? I don't know. I mean, I feel like, you know what she'll do? Kamala will be like, I'm not taking any corporate money. Somebody will better tell my staff. But in the meantime, her staff will accept a bunch of corporate money anyway. And then she'll blame them. Kind of like how she blamed them for that whole, like, she's all about for-profit prisons. She blamed her staff for that one. She'll do something similar here. That's my prediction. That's my prediction. But, yeah, it's very weird. All of the Democrat 2020 hopefuls are emulating the guy we were told could never win. The guy the media told us could never win. The guy the DNC told us could never win. And it worked. It worked. The DNC, which, by the way, we found out was being funded by his opposition. Interesting. Very interesting. All right, we're having trouble getting a hold of Maria here. So now I got to go through this process again. Our guest today is Maria Estrada. Get your questions ready for her. She will be joining us shortly. She's running against Anthony Rendon. Or Rendon. It's Rendon, right? You say it Rendon. I hear two different things all the time. So hopefully we get her up here shortly. Otherwise, we're just going to have to do it the old-fashioned way, and you guys are going to have to start sending articles. Let's see here. All right. And good morning, YouTube, by the way. We are nestled in for Maria Estrada. And I'm getting ready. Just call him Rennie. Jesse says just call him Rennie. Joe says, I think the second way is right. So it's Rendon, right? He goes by Rendon. And I'm all about, I'm going to start calling him Rennie. Anthony Rennie. And then he'll complain about that. He's been complaining. He complained. By the way, we got 38 over on the Live Me, 16 over on the YouTube. And I meant to mention this to you guys. So over on the YouTube, we are not near as busy as we are on the Live Me. And that's because I've been doing the Live Me thing for a long time. I was doing the Live Me thing for almost a year now, and I never brought it over to the YouTube. I wasn't sure how it would translate. So I just never brought it over to YouTube. I don't know why I didn't do that. I just didn't. I just thought it'd be too much. But then Joe volunteered to help out on the production end of things, which was huge. So I started doing the YouTube thing as well. And so we're growing a little slower over on the YouTube, but we are growing. You know, the YouTube thing is catching on slowly but surely. We still have a much bigger audience over on the Live Me, but I'm really hoping the YouTube thing catches up. So I just wanted to say that. Sometimes the tally starts out close, like it's almost neck and neck between the YouTube and the Live Me, but then Live Me usually goes here and YouTube kind of, but so YouTube, text 5 friends. How does she feel about divestment? You mean the boycott, divestment, sanctions? Is that what you're referring to, Kate? And we'll find out soon. Just got here. Did I miss? Jackson Fax asks, I just got there. Did I miss the theme song? So I don't do the theme song whenever I have a guest. So we did not do the theme song today, Jackson. I apologize because we do have a guest today. Maria Estrada is going to be here. Get your questions ready for her. You had a little extra time. I think she's working on hopping on the live meet chat now, or not the live meet chat, excuse me, the Google Hangout. See, I mix up my technologies. Winkle says, I'm going to promote your show on my next YouTube video or your YouTube channel on my, yeah, thank you, Winkle. I appreciate that, buddy. I appreciate that very much. All right, let's see. All right, California divesting from oil gas. Oh, okay. All right, cool. I will ask her that. Saying she didn't get the invite yet. She should have gotten it a while ago. That Laserway email address is not a good email address. The strata3@msn.com. I sent that. I'll send it again. Let's see here. All right. Does she work with the mayor who is progressive, who was on JD? What mayor are you referring to? Who was on Justice Democrats or the Jimmy Dore show? I don't know what mayor you're referring to. All right, Pasta, I just sent the Hangout link over again to the first email address. All right, I'll send it to this one too. Let's see. Yeah, that's the same one you sent that. Oh, okay, never mind. There's an A in there. All right, maybe that's the problem. Had a misspelled email. Gotcha. Oh, Gail McLaughlin. That's a good question. I'll ask her that. I'll ask her if they've had any correspondence. That is a very good question. All right, so we already got some questions being lined up for Maria. And let's see if we can get her on the Hangout here. Apparently, she did not receive my invite. Google Hangouts can be kind of finicky sometimes. That's why I try to make sure I give myself enough time. But we are running a little bit behind here. And we need to end promptly at 11 because I got to get going to Santa Monica because me and Graham Elwood have some announcements to make. I guess I'll do some housekeeping now since we're waiting on Maria, or rather Maria's waiting on me. If they don't get the invite, it's my fault. Here she is.
Hi.
Hey, you got your own background music and everything.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No. It's okay. It's quite all right.
So how are you today? Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day. I can't see you. Is that in? Do you not want to be seen? It's okay if you don't. But
oh, I don't mind being seen. What do I need to do? What am I doing?
If you want to turn the camera on, turn it on. And the YouTube folks can see your face. The Live Me folks cannot see your face. That's the other app I'm on. But they get the first choice in asking you questions. So we already got some questions lined up for you. So you know, go ahead, take a swig of coffee, and then we'll start firing away. We'll give you a second. Happy Valentine's Day. Back to you. How is everything going?
It's going well. I mean, it's just been really hectic with the campaign and getting ready for the convention, which is in a weekend after next. So that's going to be a little hectic. Good times.
All right, so for anybody that's not familiar with you, and some folks, they're really looking forward to you, but some folks may not be as familiar. So give everybody a quick introduction, who you are, what you're doing, et cetera, et cetera.
My name is Maria Estrada. I'm mom. I have 2 children. I have 2 grandchildren. I'm 6 of 7 children. I'm on the board of the Native Women's Union Association. I was one of the founders of Compton for Bernie, and we campaigned for Bernie, and we helped get a lot of the young Bernie delegates funding to go to Philly. I'm also helped with the Recall Rendon campaign. And what ended up happening was I was asked by a lot of people on the recall, as well as activists in the district, to run in the race, because I actually had no desire to run as a, I've never actually wanted to run for office, but I was asked to run, and I had quite a few people contact me, and I thought about it, and no one was going to run against him. He's pretty much gone uncontested all this time. And in fact, I don't even think the Republican that has run against him in the past is in the race. So I believe it's just he and I that are in it.
Well, you know what they say, heroes are recruited, right? Isn't that the thing?
I don't know if I'm a hero, but I'll do my best.
So let me ask you this first then to start out, and this is my question. Then we got some lined up from the viewers already here, but why is it so important for anybody not in the know? Why is it so important somebody run against Anthony Rendon?
Well, I mean, I think within this progressive movement, everyone's talking about SB 562 and the healthcare bill that he shelved, and basically he stopped the legislative process, so nothing could be done with the bill. No changes, no amendments, nothing. He's passed the Senate, he's holding it, and he's not letting it move forward. And that's the big issue right now, because I'm sure we all know that, that healthcare is critical for so many people. But when you think about families in the 63rd district, where the average income for a family of 3 is $38,000, and you have a copay and you have an emergency and you have to pay $100 to go to emergency, that's a lot of money. And that bill would have been extremely helpful to the people in that district. But more importantly, there's so many environmental issues affecting the 63rd. Everyone knows about the Exide plant and all of the problems that have come with that. But also, like a friend of mine, she's an activist in Cudahy. She just posted a video of her sink water coming out in a glass, and it's brown. There's a class action lawsuit against 7 companies in the city of Paramount that have, you have families that have the entire family sick. A gentleman that I met can't even work. His children are sick all the time. Children in the classrooms with allergies, asthma, bloody noses, cancer is prevalent. So I believe the first hearing was in January, but this affects everyone in the district, and there's a chromium-6 levels are way too high in the 63rd as well as in 64th. In Compton, the reading was at 10.3 on December 14th, which is extremely high. Not to mention they're releasing arsenic in the community, and all of these things have been going on for decades. So it's really, I feel it's criminal that the speaker would shelve a bill that would have tremendously helped the people in the 63rd, as well as everyone in the state of California.
So for anyone just tuning in, we are live with Maria Estrada. She is running against Anthony Rendon in California 63rd. Who is Anthony Rendon? He is the guy that pretty much single-handedly shelved our single-payer bill here in the state of California. And he's a Democrat. What you gonna do? So we got a listener question. And guys, by the way, you can submit your questions over on the live me, over on the YouTube. We're gonna get to as many as we can on this lovely Valentine's Day. Kate asks Maria, what are your thoughts on California divesting from oil and gas? Also, she wants to ask you your thoughts on SB 710.
As far as divesting, we really need to go to renewables. The problem is that the oil industry is too tied to the Democratic Party, to both parties. The fact of the matter is both parties receive donations from the same people. So as long as money's in politics and that's allowed, it's going to continue, and that won't change. I'm against I'm for money out of politics completely. Citizens United needs to be overturned. But until that happens, you know, money's going to always win, whether it's in healthcare, whether it's with the environment. The state of California has been run by Democrats since 1959, and everything that's happened, whether it's with the environment and healthcare and education and poverty and homelessness, could be attributed directly to Democrats and their neoliberal policies that they've put forth in this state. So unless we get progressives to in these seats up and down the state, and that's not going to change. And I mean, unfortunately, what's happened is we're just being pushed back by the party, and they're not allowing us to even have a fair. We don't have a fair chance within the party because they're blocking us at every level. I just was managed to block the speaker's endorsement, and they flipped the rules on me, and that didn't happen. So right now, I'm actually in the process of contesting that legally with attorneys, and it's not just myself. It's Stephen Jaffe, several other candidates that they did the same thing to, and they were given erroneous lists, and it's unfortunate, but we're trying to push forward and get this at the convention. Hopefully, by the time we get there, something will be remedied legally so that we could have a fair chance at the endorsement, and which would bring in all the resources we need.
So first of all, it sounds like there's a spaceship being launched wherever it is you are. If that's the case, please stay safe. Stay out of the engine room.
Sorry, that's actually my laptop. And
really?
Yeah, and actually I could hear it, and I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. I'm done. I'm just kidding. So it's interesting how you are being actively like the party of which you are supposed to be a member of, and democracy is not specifically reserved for Anthony Rendon. It's reserved for everybody, or that's what we're told. Meanwhile, everything you just said in your answer is evidence of the party actively working against you.
Yeah, and this has happened actually in my ADEM elections last year as well. The entire election, they called the police on us. They bussed in 2 charter buses of elderly people from Compton and Watts. By the time they got there, the police was there, all over the place, trying to remove one of our delegates. The convener actually pulled a ballot out of the ballot box, and we had it on video. And they still ruled against us. We lost across the board. We appealed it in Sacramento last May, at the convention, and they still ruled against us, even with video. So, everything we've done, we follow the rules exactly how they're written, and they still change them on us. So it's pretty clear that they're not willing to allow us to be part of the process. So it's a battle from all sides. But we're in it to win it, and this is none of us expected this to happen overnight. From the time the primaries, when we saw how that all went down, I was in Philly, and it was heartbreaking. But we still have to push forward, and this is a long game. None of this is going to happen overnight. Your oppressor's not going to give up his power. Just hand it over. You're going to have to take it from them.
Well, do you ever feel like reforming the Democratic Party from within is kind of hopeless? I mean, do you ever feel that way? Because sometimes, I'm
every day.
Okay.
Every day. Well, the thing is that we're really not trying to reform it. We're trying to infiltrate it and take it over. There's no reforming the party, because the people in power are not going to give up that power, and nobody in seats of power are elected. They're all appointed. So, you have to go from writing these resolutions to allow there to be an electoral process to get people elected at, you know, at all levels, because it's set up in a manner to exclude people, and you have to be part of that club. And if you're not part of that club, you're never going to make it in. So unless we are able to do that, you know, it's just a matter of taking over, and getting people in these seats is part of that. They were blindsided by these ADEM elections. The 2015 convention, I believe, had like 1,500 delegates. The last May, we had over 3,000. And that was because we went in, you know, progressives went in, and we figured out how they played the game. I honestly had no idea what delegates were, how it worked. I had no idea. Friends of mine, actually, I wasn't even a Dem. They pulled me in, asked me to come in, and got me as an alternative in the LACDP, and then, you know, it got me to apply to become, you know, to run in an election as a delegate, which I had not heard. I lost, so they appointed me through the Central County Committee and a seat as a delegate, and that's how I got to be a delegate. But otherwise, I would have not known how it even works. The whole process is just ridiculous.
So we got some more viewer questions. I'm going to get to them, which, by the way, quick, I try to tell this to everybody. When you see me kind of looking around and stuff like that, it's not that I'm not paying attention to you. It's that I'm multitasking because I have questions coming at me from two different mediums. So I'm just...
And I'd like to apologize because I got the same thing.
Best I can. I'm doing this. No, like if you're like, wow, Ron was like looking around and stuff. It's like I'm looking at the questions while also trying to, you know, listen the best I can. So I am. You do have my undivided.
And I'd like to apologize because someone asked about SB 10, and is that the one about the silencers on the guns?
I'm actually not sure off the top of my head either. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Let's look it up. I have an information highway right here. I can find out for us. Let's see what happens here when I Google. But I believe that's correct. Yeah, it's on the silencers. Yes, it is on the silencers.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's what that's about.
Well, I'm just not sure why a private citizen would need a silencer.
Me too. Yeah, I'm not sure why either. I am not sure why either. I'm not sure why they need a magazine. I'm not sure why they need semi-automatics. I'm not sure why they need like 90-some guns in their house. I'm not sure about any of that stuff.
I would actually like to say that I'm not against guns. I believe that everyone has the right to bear arms. I'm not a anti-gun person. I just don't think everyone should be have a gun. I think there has to be a process. Unfortunately, the way it is now, people of color are not allowed to bear arms, and that's just always been the case. And the reason why California, where they say that Californians, because it's safer, because they have stricter gun laws, the whole reason gun laws are so strict in California was because in 1967, Ronald Reagan, as governor, signed the Mulford Act of 1967. In fact, the NRA was actually standing behind him when he signed it, and it was legislation written to prevent Black people, specifically the Black Panthers, from having weapons. So the whole reason for that was to deny people of color their rights, their Second Amendment rights.
I'm not against banning guns completely either. What I am for is a common sense gun policy, and I'm for a federal one. Some states have, better guidelines. Other states, if you have a pulse, you're walking away with a gun. So, I favor background checks. I think people should have references. I think people should be able to complete a basic class. I think we need to have regulation. I favor regulation on ammunition, similar to what they do in Switzerland, where, you have to go to a special place to get a lot of your ammunition. And it should be kind of heavily regulated how much ammunition you get. Are you using this rifle to hunt deer? Okay, you're allowed this much. If this gun is for self-defense in your home, you're allotted this much. I also favor federal rules. I also favor, I favor banning gun shows or banning the sales at gun shows. I favor banning semi-automatics and magazines and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm not against, you know, taking it, or I'm not for taking everybody's gun away.
Well, one of the issues that
common sense gun policy
you just brought up is like everyone, and you know, every conservative uses Chicago as an example of, you know, gun laws and they don't work. But you could go to Randy's gun shop 18 miles out of Chicago and go buy a gun and go back into the city limits. So it's illogical to say, oh, well, it's because it's Chicago, because I could go from California to Nevada or Arizona and get a weapon that's not legal in California and come back with it. So it has to be a federal legislation that does it across the board. Otherwise, it's pointless.
I'm with you.
That's lost on a lot of people.
I'm with you, you know. So I don't like to use, like, I don't like to say like pro-gun or anti-gun, because it's not like I'm necessarily pro-gun. It's not like I'm like, oh, guns, hell yeah. Oh. but I am like.
Yeah, no, I get it. I agree. But yeah, back to what we were discussing as far as SB 562. Like I said, that's what's important right now, what everyone's discussing. But I actually have looking into Rendon's donors, and one of the things that we discovered is Annie Lamb is works for a lobbying firm in Sacramento. And Annie Lamb is Anthony Rendon's wife. So if you look at it by that, I mean, there's just so much conflict, and it doesn't make sense for anyone to ever think. I mean, I was at the Nurses Association on Thursday in Oakland, or Friday was it? I can't even remember now, to talk to them about the endorsement. And I actually told them, I said, as long as he's in that seat, he's never going to release the bill. And I also said that I think that they should just move on from that bill, take those 17 pages, rewrite it, add the funding mechanisms, because that's the biggest excuse they're using right now, and then move forward with that. But as long as he's in that seat, he's gonna find an excuse to block that bill. So, go ahead.
Go ahead.
So basically, and the fact that his wife works for a lobbying firm, healthcare lobbying firm, I mean, ultimately, whenever if there's a profit to be made and a patient's health, the profit's always going to win. Money's always going to win. So that has to be removed from the equation. And as long as he's in that seat, that's never going to change.
Well, and I kind of find the whole funding thing to be total bullshit anyway. Because, by the way, you're allowed to curse here. You don't have to. I get it.
Well, somebody should have told me that when we started. Just kidding. I'm kidding.
Asta, what the hell, dude?
No, it is. Actually, I spoke to the speaker, and he, you know, and it's just, they use talking points. They use the same talking points. For example, he'll say, I spoke to the nurses 3 times, and he did, but he spoke to them before he shelved the bill. Since he shelved the bill, he refuses to speak to them. So it's disingenuous in the way he says things, but it's like a talking point. They latch onto it and they all repeat it.
I talked to the nurses 3 times. 2 of the times I was telling them to shut up and get out, but I talked to them, damn it. I talked to them.
Well, it's like I could say that I talked to a nurse too, but I went to the doctor. I mean, did I talk to the Nurses Association? I did not, but I talked to a nurse, and that's basically the same thing he's doing.
I love it. Well, it's just the whole thing. When they make this funding argument, what they love to not include in that, what they love to omit, is the fact that as a state, which, by the way, California, 6th largest economy in the flipping world, but as a state, we are spending about 17% of our GDP on healthcare costs. If we went over to the single-payer model without doing anything at all, without making any other adjustments, just going single-payer straight up, it would still be less.
Yes.
It would still be less than that. So
absolutely.
That's like saying,
and everyone would be covered. It would be full coverage, and it's medical, dental, vision, pharmaceuticals, drug rehabilitation, mental health. All of these things would be covered at little or no cost. And you think about it, your workers' comp, your disability, your Medicare, all of that is all in one pot. So that's more money in your paycheck. But people say, well, they're raising taxes. But on the long run, I mean, just what I pay from my paycheck for my insurance, I pay like $8,000 a year. And then I go have my co-pays. And then if I have to have testing done, it's $30 a copay. If I have to have certain tests done, it's $100. All of that adds up, and not everybody can afford that. So realistically, it just makes more sense economically, just for society in general. I don't understand. Well, I do understand it's because of money, but the fact that the reality of what we're dealing with is, in the state of California, Democrats and only Democrats are blocking healthcare. You can't blame Trump. You can't blame the GOP. It is Democrats, and it's because of money. So when you go to in LA, I was at Jimmy Gomez's city hall. They're putting fear in these people, and most of them are Latinos. They put fear in these people, and they tell them Trump's coming for your insurance. He's going to take away your ACA. Doesn't even mention SB 562. So when you bring it up, there, he says that it's not going to work. We have to start from scratch, and it's the worst case scenario, all of which is false. But you go into these communities, they don't even know what SB 562 is, and they're just hearing that Trump's going to take away their ACA, and it's manipulative, and it's putting fear in people that's not justified. And even with the immigration issue, it was.
Uh-oh. Are you with us? I feel like we might have lost her. Oh, that's unfortunate. Yeah, I think we might have lost her. Okay, yeah, we definitely lost her. All right, so that was Maria Estrada, and we'll see if she hops back on here. It looks like we lost her for now. Yeah, looks like we lost her for now. So in the meantime, we'll see if she hops back on. In the meantime, feel free to tweet some articles, and we'll continue the show that way. We still got half the show left, so we're not done here, but we definitely lost her. Yeah, she was in the middle of a cool thought too, which sucks. Hopefully she can hop back onto the stream. I feel you. Otherwise, you're just stuck with me. And man, that's got to be my biggest goal was to make her laugh. I did that. But you guys had a lot of great questions. We only got to less than half of them. So we got a lot of great questions coming up for her. If she gets back on, she may have had her computer may have died. The space shuttle that was launching in her backyard may have launched. She may have had to help with that. That's the narrative I'm going with. Maria had to go because she had to help launch a spaceship, and that's noble work. All right. She has more important things to do, and I understand. I don't take it personally. I totally get it. She's got so guys, tweet me some articles now. We're switching gears here. So let's look into the whole Cory Booker thing since we're on that topic. Let's just confirm that is in fact true. Go ahead and tweet me some articles. And actually, you know what we're going to do? We're not going to look into the Cory Booker thing because we already talked about it. We're going to go over to the Reddit because I know I'm behind on some Reddit posts. So we're going to go ahead and jump into that. Let's see here. Oh, this is weird. So somebody sent this in. Here's what they wrote up for this. California police worked with neo-Nazis to pursue quote-unquote anti-racist activities. All right. This is my first time seeing this. Let's click the article. This is from The Guardian. All right. So California police worked with neo-Nazis to pursue anti-racist activities. Documents show officers expressed sympathy with white supremacists and sought their help to target counter-protesters after a violent 2016 rally, according to court documents. All right, so let's see what this is all about. Officers expressed sympathy with white supremacists and sought their help to target counter-protests. All right. California police investigating a violent white nationalist event worked with white supremacists in an effort to identify counter-protesters and sought the prosecution of activists with, quote, anti-racist beliefs, court documents show. The records, which also showed officers expressing sympathy with white supremacists and trying to protect a neo-Nazi organizer's identity, were included in a court briefing from 3 anti-fascist activists who were charged with felonies after protesting at a Sacramento rally. Defense lawyers said the case at the state capitol offers the latest example of U.S. law enforcement appearing to align with neo-Nazi and white supremacist groups while targeting anti-fascist activities. Wow. Is this gross? Yeah. Is this disgusting? Yeah. Is this surprising? fuck no. There is nothing surprising about this. And this is why police were doing everything wrong in Charlottesville. They were doing everything wrong in Charlottesville. They weren't creating a barrier between white supremacists and neo-Nazis and those counter-protesting them. They weren't protecting people the way they should have been. Cornel West will say Antifa saved his life. Why weren't they doing that? Because even the most despicable of people, white supremacists, neo-Nazis, even they are not subjected to the racism that has infected our law enforcement. And not only are there law enforcement that are sympathetic to neo-Nazis and white supremacists, there's law enforcement that are part of it. We've known that for years now. Anonymous revealed that. There are members of the KKK that are police officers.
They've always been part of it.
Yeah,
the Klan's always been part of it.
The Klan's always been part of it.
Yeah, white supremacy has been prevalent. I mean, if you look at the history of the police in this country, it's always been based on white supremacy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we just dove into an article that somebody submitted to the Reddit where it's like they're saying that police officers worked with actual neo-Nazis to come down on some Antifa members, and it's like, yeah, this is nothing new. There's actual Klan members that are police officers, and this goes into law enforcement as a systemic issue, a broken system that is broken beyond repair and needs to be completely overhauled and gutted.
I don't know if you know this, but within a 5 year, like 2000, I think it was 2011 to 2015, the American taxpayer paid over $1 billion in settlements for police brutality settlements and murders. So
I didn't know that high. No.
Yeah, in a 5 year period. I mean, you go to Baltimore, Chicago, the boroughs in New York, LA. LA is one of the worst. And well, look at Jackie Lacey. She's the DA here in LA. She's never prosecuted a cop. Not one. I don't even know how she has her seat. Garcetti's not done anything about it. And that's another thing. So Garcetti, he's a Democrat. She's a Democrat. Is the chief of police Democrat? I mean, they're all Democrats. So what are we talking about here? Why are we voting and supporting these people? Either they're, I mean, we keep putting labels. Like, I'm registered as a Democrat. I don't feel any loyalty to that party. And I just got notified by my attorney that the CDP was served with a demand letter for to allow my blockage of the automatic endorsement of the speaker to stand because I met all the requirements. So that's going to be interesting because they have, I believe, until Friday to respond.
Well, welcome back, first and foremost. I
missed you.
I missed you too. I told everybody that you were, in fact, just being modest. There was a spaceship launching in your backyard, and you had to go help. And because you are a noble, selfless person, went and you helped. It's now in space. And it's not, no, they're on a productive mission too. They're actually going to do exploration. It's not like you just sent a car into space for no reason. You did something worthwhile. So we thank you for your service and welcome back. We did miss you.
So that guy got a tax break and he was able to dole out, what, $90 million to put a car in space?
Why not? But, you know, half the country's poor. We have a wage discrepancy between the rich and the poor, unforeseen since about ancient Egypt. Why not send a car into space for no fucking reason? You know, a car used to be my house.
Wow, yeah. A lot of people, actually. A lot of people's houses.
So we got a lot of listener questions, so we're going to get right back to them because I've taken up a lot of the question time. And that's not our style here. People want to know, have you worked ever with Gail McLaughlin on anything?
Yeah, actually, she just endorsed me. Gail and the Richmond Progressive Alliance in Richmond held a fundraiser for me a couple weekends ago, and she endorsed me. And she tweeted it out and put it on my page and everything, and which is great because she's amazing. What they did in Richmond's amazing. I support Jovanka Bickles and her run as well. There's a lot of good candidates out there. The Democrats, the delegates cannot endorse. I'm also the treasurer of the Field of Burn Club in Los Angeles, and we allowed her to speak, but we can't actually endorse her or even put her on a ballot because she's no party preference. But it's a known fact that everyone endorses and supports, or everybody supports Gail McLaughlin in her run for lieutenant governor.
So Marcus wants to know, what are your thoughts? Could you speak a little bit on the issue of prison slavery?
Well, I mean, with the fires that just occurred, I mean, I believe I heard the number was $1 a day. They had women out there.
Yes. Yes.
I think the 13th Amendment, that the whole thing is the system is not broken. It's set up this way, and the system needs to be revamped. I think it's heinous. I think it's a reflection of our society, and it shows that you could say that we've had advances in we've come a long way from slavery, but in fact we really haven't. There's overt and covert racism, and that's what we're looking at today. And for-profit prisons needs to stop. Prison slavery needs to stop. I mean, Hillary Clinton wrote in her book about having slaves or prisoners, slaves basically, working at the governor's mansion for her. And it's like, that's insane. It's insane that still happens today. And it's allowed. Kamala Harris, as the Attorney General, actually was against allowing early release of prisoners because it would have affected the labor, the cheap labor that the prisons provided. How heinous!
She tried to blame that on her staff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, ultimately it was her responsibility, but I mean, I'm sure a lot of people don't even realize that. But that's what this whole prison system. I mean, every prison. I think it's 28 prisons have been built since '85, and how many universities have we built? I mean, it's a fraction of that. And all of those prisons are built to incarcerate Black and brown people. That's why they're there, and they're there to make money for somebody. So they're making a buck off destroying people's lives, and that's what this is all about. It's all this capitalist society is all about making money at our expense.
I mean, first of all, everything you said is totally right on. And also, I got to tell you, I consider myself an outsider. I always will be. So I try not to get too gushy about my guests. But, Maria, for you, I got to make an exception. Not only do you help spaceships launch and get to where they need to be, you also have the patience to read Hillary Clinton's book. You are a stronger woman.
I didn't read it. I saw somebody actually
put you didn't read
clip,
it.
And they highlighted. I want to spend money on Are you crazy? That's never going to happen. Never, ever.
Well, you know what? I always tell people I wanted to read the book until I found out it wasn't a choose your own adventure. That was what turned me off. At first, I thought I was like, if it's a choose your own adventure, I'm in, like you could be like, to blame the DNC, go to page 9. To blame Bernie again, go to page 26.
Did you hear that she's going to help candidates in the 2018? She's going to go around with them. It's like she's less popular than Trump. Like, they just don't get it. Even the speakers, Nancy Pelosi is speaking at the convention. Pelosi.
Well, you know what?
What are they thinking? They don't get it.
You know what I noticed this morning? Cory Booker apparently now is the latest person to say he's not accepting corporate money. And it's very interesting to me how all of the Democrat 2020 White House hopefuls are emulating the guy we were told could never win. Very interesting. Right? You know how many of them are emulating Hillary Clinton? Zero. Kirsten Gillibrand will sing her praises, but then in practice, she's not trying to copy that. She's not trying to copy that. At least not publicly. Of course, they all have a public and private persona, but publicly.
Well, this is my take on it. I think even the Nurses Association endorsed Gavin Newsom, and Gavin Newsom has not been strong on SB 562. They literally had to have a talk with him one day, and the next day he's out, supporting SB 562. But if you, as a person, don't feel it in your heart, and it's not something that you on your own would have supported because it's the right thing to do, then you're not the person for that bill. And I just like you said with Booker and so many other politicians, they're all jumping on the Medicare for All bandwagon, but they really don't support it. So even for example, a lot of California politicians say they want Medicare for all. Well, if you can't pass it in your own state when you have the majority, why would I believe that you're going to pass it on the federal level? Because at that point, they're just going to say, well, the Republicans are blocking it, or we can't do it because they're doing it. Or they'll say we need bipartisan support. No, we don't. We don't need bipartisan support. We need you to do your damn fucking job, and we need you to push this forward. And I don't see any of these politicians being forceful with the speaker and addressing this in a forceful manner to say we really need this. The people in the state need this. I mean, they're not doing it because they don't want it to pass. They'll say, well, I did this or I support it. Unless you're out there talking about it, preaching about it every day, no, you're not. You're really not.
You say you're for something, and when you say you're for it, you sound like you're in a confessional booth.
Well, and I don't want to sound
like... I better break it to myself. I mean, do you remember that? That was so gross. I mean, that was just so uninspiring and gross.
I mean, who do you hear that's whenever he speaks, he's about it. He's about raising minimum wage, free college, healthcare. Bernie Sanders is always out there talking about that. Why? Because he truly believes that and he's pushing for it. None of these other politicians are doing it. And the ones that are, just like as we just said, are only doing it because it's politically expedient for them to do so. But once they get there, they're not going to do it. They're just, they're there now and they're not doing it.
All right, so we got a bunch of questions. We're going to go quick on these because we only got 15 minutes left. Jesse wants to know, how do you think California should address the issues raised by Black Lives Matter?
Well, I think that I fully support Black Lives Matter. I was really disgusted when I heard that the Democratic Party didn't support him. There was pushback by the party. The reason Black Lives Matter exists is because the Black community is just tired of their children and their family members being gunned down and murdered and assaulted for no good reason. I mean, it's unfortunate that Black people today have to sit down and talk to their sons and tell them, if you're by the police, what you should do, what you shouldn't do. Growing up, I mean, I remember we had to throw our hands out. We would roll down the windows and we would get pulled over and everybody in the car's hands would be out, simply because there was always this understood, if the police came and your hands were in the car, they could shoot and say that you reached for something. So just to prevent that happening, everybody's hands would be out the window. It was just something that we grew up with. Black Lives Matter is in existence because nothing is being done to hold police accountable for gunning down, killing, murdering, beating people of color. And they're tired of it. And Black Lives Matter shouldn't exist because police brutality shouldn't exist, but that isn't being addressed. So this is them trying to say, stop this and help us. And no one's listening to them. They're not helping them. I don't believe that politicians, Bernie Sanders supported him. But I just don't feel that even with the police, like I just said here in LA, the DA is not going after any police. I was at a protest with Black Lives Matter to protest Jackie Lacey, to get her out. She needs to be removed from her position. And Eric Ramirez, a young man, he was 14 years old. His mother and father came out and I don't know how she did it. And she said she was very shy. She never spoke about it publicly. The police had some description of someone, and the night before had killed a 17-year-old boy. They saw him walking, 14 years old. He fit the description of this Latino kid. They jumped out of their car, guns drawn. They did not put the car in park. The police jumped out. He was kind of shocked. The car kept rolling, the door shut, the sound of that. They got trigger happy. 7 bullets went in that kid, one through his neck, one in his shin. I mean, they gunned him down, 14 years old, and the car ran him over. And his body sat there for 12 hours.
Oh my God.
And the police went to work the next day. Nobody got in trouble. Nobody there. They had Christmas and Thanksgiving with their families. And this Ramirez family has to deal with this every day. And this happens all the time, every day in this country.
I mean, hey, we're right in my neighborhood. I live in the Pasadena neighborhood, and Recently, we had Christopher Ballou. They just beat the shit out of him for no reason.
Didn't they break his bones?
They broke his leg. They broke his leg, and you can see the video. He was just saying. I mean, it was over a license plate. It should have been like, hey, you got to get that fixed, and either you give the guy a warning or you give the guy a ticket, and that's the end of it.
Someone said, well, it's the way they're trained. No, that's not the way they're trained. That's a behavior in these people, and that behavior is specific on their personal beliefs. And the fact that they believe that they could do that to another human being. I mean, I don't know who raised these people. Their mothers should be ashamed. But the police lobby is one of the most powerful lobbyists there are. And their Bill of Rights need to be abolished. I don't even think they should be allowed to have a union. And I believe that any settlements that should be paid out of their pensions, they should be paying for that. We shouldn't be paying for that. So not only are they terrorizing us and killing us, but we're having to pay for their crimes. And they're not even being held accountable.
The whole system needs to be gutted and just redone. I mean, it does. And this whole like, well, it's just a few rogue. Like, no, it's not. It's the system. The system is a problem. It's like when you have an E. coli outbreak with lettuce, you don't say, oh, well, some of the lettuce is good. Like no, there's a systemic problem. So we need a systemic solution for it.
I agree. And also, Nikki Haley was at the UN talking about Iran, and the people of Iran are crying for help, and they're being suppressed. And, you know, she pled that. And the UN told her, if that's the case, then we should have intervened during Ferguson and shut her down with that. I mean, the hypocrisy of this country to go and intervene in Iran, Iraq, or any other country when we're not even giving our own citizens, we don't even have, it's easier to vote in certain countries in the Middle East than it is to vote here. And their police aren't terrorizing people in other countries the way they're terrorizing them here. Nobody's being held accountable. I mean, our system, this society, this country is set up in a manner that you feel like you're free and they tell you you're free, but in fact, you're not. You're at the mercy of the police and the government, and you really don't have a lot of recourse. I mean, if you remember during the crash in 2008, when all that happened, Wall Street, the first thing the police did was surround Wall Street. They went to protect the people that robbed this country and crashed the stock market. They didn't come to protect us. We're the ones that got hurt on that. The American public is the one that lost on that. And yet they went to protect the people that caused that whole thing to happen. And yet they were the ones that were bailed out. The banks were bailed out, and the American people got screwed. Yeah. All that money that was put, if they would have given that money individually to each American citizen and spread it out, that would have boosted the economy more than saving them.
Absolutely. All right. So we still got a lot to get through. We're almost out of time. Edwin wants to know, first of all, a couple comments here. Matt points out, after 10 years in the Navy, we had clear defined rules in place about the use of deadly force. Police have a horrible work culture. I agree with you, Matt. Frederick Murphy, it is hopeless. They have set up barriers to stop progressives from winning and will make up new laws and rules on the spot if they have to. Yeah, I mean, well, we got to keep trying. Edwin wants to know, how is Rendon responding to your campaign?
He has completely ignored it.
Oh, really? You haven't had any? Maybe you need to make a poster that shows him in an unflattering light. He's been crying like a baby whenever that happens.
I can actually tell you that when I appealed my my decision, when they blocked, they said that I didn't meet the requirements to block his endorsement. I appealed it, and the only person that responded was Bill Wong. Bill Wong is the political director for the assembly, and he had posted on his Facebook a really condescending post about people that want healthcare, want unicorns and ponies, and just really, he's, you know, but that's the way they talk to us. And in his response, he says, in addition, please find attached numerous posts by Estrada that show that she does not support the Democratic Party. And then he says, lastly, as I noted before, her campaign has shown a proclivity to physical violence as evidenced by the injury and emotional distress suffered by Speaker Rendon's staff at the hands
Oh
of
my
Estrada's
God.
volunteers.
Oh, that
And
is
it's
so
like,
ridiculous.
so I texted him and I said, I hope you have police reports and hospital records that show that, you know, and otherwise sue me. I mean, the fact that is that the claims that he's making are outrageous, and they'll do anything to discredit and this is only because of this appeal. Otherwise, he would have not even responded to me. I actually tweeted it and tagged him and said, you know what, you should be careful what you say, because it's just they dismiss us, and then when they have to come out, they bash us as much as possible. When Rendon took that position 5 years ago, he knew the environmental issues plaguing that community. He knew that Exide plant, there's been 300 kids tested positive for lead. I mean, I could go on and on. You could go back 20 years and look at all the environmental issues. So you would think, and he went in saying that he was for single payer, for healthcare. He's the one person that stopped it. There's no excuse for that.
Yeah, and you know what? Look, I'll make a statement right now too, and this is me talking as an individual. This has nothing to do with Maria. Anthony Rendon, you are a coward, you are a fraud, you are a liar, and if you have any spine whatsoever, I dare you to come on this show. All right, you can continue. Need to get that off my
He won't come on your show. I doubt it.
Oh,
I'll actually say, hey, Ron wants to go. I have his cell, so I'll text him and say, Ron would love to have you on his show.
So we can text him this clip later.
He'll probably.
I have no respect for that guy at all. I have zero respect for that guy. And that's, I mean, I don't have respect for most.
He actually he had a meet and greet.
He is the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah, he had a meet and greet for like.
He is like the fungus on shit. That's pretty much the level he's at. And yes, I'll say that open. And again, Rendon, open invitation. Come on this show. Come on this show, big guy. You want to keep healthcare away from thousands while they're dying in the streets? Come on this show and justify it, you pathetic coward.
Do you know that the SB 562 would actually cover undocumented people as well? So you have all these workers out in these fields being subjected to who knows what chemicals. And they not only are they undocumented, they have no health care. I mean, it's inhumane, the conditions they're. And I would also like to say, boycott Driscoll Farms. They treat their workers terribly. Do not support them. Do not buy any of their product. And that a shout out to my people in Sacramento, Al Rojas, Desiree Rojas, the Rojas family. They've been labor rights activists for decades. They had a bilateral event in Compton at Dominguez Hills, and they had people from Chiapas there. The NAFTA is affected. Well, NAFTA and interference by the American government in foreign governments and their economies has wreaked havoc. And all of these, that's what causes the migration of Latino Americanos to the United States. And then we're told we're rapists and drug dealers to go back home. But the more this country continues to interfere in foreign governments and their elections, that's not going to stop. So, you know, we create this atmosphere and it causes this instability in these countries, and they come here because this is the land of hope, and then they get shit on when they get here, and they're treated like shit, and it's wrong, and all of this, whether it's the economy or healthcare, all of that is intertwined, and people under the belief that the Mexican Constitution actually allows for healthcare. They have socialized healthcare there. So people aren't coming here for healthcare because they have it over there. They're coming over here because they don't want to get killed. They're coming over here because they're just trying to make a buck just for survive. That's why they're coming here. I mean, it's the simple fact that people just want a better life for their families, and this country represents hope to these people. And it is really unfortunate that, and one of the things that I really have a problem with is that it is our own people like Anthony Rendon, who's a Latino, who's doing this to us. The 63rd district is like 75% Latino, and he's completely disregards the entire population. You know, whether it be healthcare, you know, the economic situation, the gentrification that's going on, all of that has been going on for decades, and nobody that's in position right now of power is doing anything to stop it. In fact, they're promoting it and pushing it forward, and we need to stop that. People's lives are at stake, literally.
Absolutely. So we are totally out of time. So Maria, please, I'm wishing you all the luck in the world, because Anthony Rendon is a terrible thing for this state, and he needs to go. So how can people learn more about you, and how can people support you?
It's mariaforassembly.org, for stateassembly.org. I also have a crowd pack. My donation page is there. And I'm going to be at the convention next weekend in San Diego. I do a lot more media. But if you have any questions, you're free to email me at Maria for the number 4AD63@gmail.com if you have any questions that you'd like to ask. You know, I'm just a regular person. I'm not a politician. I never had a desire to run for office. I feel this is the time that we as a society need to push back and fight for what's right and for our fellow men. I mean, we're at a critical time in this country, and things need to change, and it's not going to change with the people in power. And you know, just regular people like me, we need to step up and fight this fight for our children and our grandchildren and our great grandchildren.
So last question real quick. You do not take any corporate money, correct?
I do not.
All right. So guys, learn more about Maria, learn more about how you can get involved. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody. I hope you have amazing plans tonight. I will be going to dinner with Anthony Rendon. We're buddies. Actually, it's all a facade. It's no, it's hard not to get frustrated with what this guy is doing, and he's not alone. It's not like he's the lone worker here. He has his establishment help, but it really is repulsive and disgusting what they're doing to our state, and that's why we need to support people like Maria, because they're fighting back against this, and we need them to lead this state, because California, if California gets single payer, it'll set an example for the rest of the country. So that's how important this is. So please learn more about Maria. You've been watching Get Your News On with Ron, the world's first viewer-curated streaming news show. Maria, throw that website at us again.
It is mariaforstateassembly.org.
There you go, mariaforstateassembly.org. Maria, thanks so much for doing this.
Thank you for having me, Ron.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day. Have a good day.